Hare Krishna, ma'am. The session is yet to start. We've got 2 minutes to go. We're expecting Maharaj to join at 6:30.
இது நான் தெரியாதா? மத்தவங்க ரெடி பண்றாங்களா? சாப்பிட்டியா? போதுமா?
This line is now on hold.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Jum. Conference hall போட்டுருங்க ஃபர்ஸ்ட் நம்பர்ல அப்புறம் ஜூம் நம்ம ஆமா ஃபர்ஸ்ட் இதுல போட்டுருங்க நம்பர்ல போடுங்க அதை போட்டுருங்க அப்புறம் ஜூம்ல போடு ஜூம் தான் ஜூம் நல்லா வரும்
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Maharaj வந்துட்டாரு. Krishna it's in line. சரி. திலீப்போட நம்பர் மட்டும் எனக்கு அனுப்பிச்சு
வணக்கம் வரலையே விழுந்துருங்க.
அது சொல்லணும். जय बोलो हनुमान की
राम लक्ष्मण जानवी
जय बोलो हनुमान की
राम लक्ष्मण
mute all is
जय बोलो हनुमान की All parts mute பண்ணிட்டேன். Yeah.
How do I do that?
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Okay.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Is it fine? Can you hear me?
Yes, Maharaj.
Okay. Fine.
Maharaj, your screen needs to be bigger, Maharaj.
Screen needs to be bigger, or I have to go back further.
Maharaj, you need to be on the full screen.
How's that done?
On the top right, if it's an iPad, at the top right, there's an option, Maharaj.
What does it say? What does it say? What does it say?
Runter. Great.
Somebody, I mean, you have to tell everybody to mute their. How do I do that? This way? Is that okay? Can you hear me now?
Yes, Maharaj.
We can
Okay,
hear you,
hear me
Maharaj.
now.
We can hear you, but we cannot
Huh?
see your full picture, Maharaj.
Really?
We can hear you, Maharaj.
How is that?
Oh, okay, Maharaj. Now it's okay.
Okay. Om Gyanaatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna to everybody here who is assembled together to take part in this discussion on Ramayana submissions and also adding a dose of leadership lessons and things that we can learn for our practical life. For those of you who have been here yesterday, in the beginning session, the session that started yesterday, we ran through a very brief introduction. And in the brief introduction, we discussed what we are going to do. And I just want to highlight one or two of those things. We are going to actually recollect instances from the Ramayana. Definitely, we would try to recollect those instances very known to all of you. And we are going to broadly classify the leadership that is expected out of us in the social and domestic setting, in the world outside, in your organizational setting, in the places of your profession, and then foundationally within us, inside us, leading ourselves spiritually. So we discussed in these broad categories, and yesterday in the social domestic leadership, we discussed we need our children that. And we took the example of Vashishta, Vishwamitra, and Dasharatha and their beautiful qualities and what their specialities were and what the weaknesses of Dasharatha was. And we also zoomed in to discuss modern day parenting and the associated challenges with it. And we had a parallel discussion on this briefly. In this way, we sank one step into discussing some leadership from the Ramayana that may be relevant to us. I want to again reiterate that Ramayana is a brilliant example, and we can relate with that very easily because it is modeled for that sake. Actually modeled for that sake by the mercy of the Lord Rama himself. And who is Lord Rama? What is that mercy he's showing us? Sometimes if we are not educated on who God is, we are not very much in a capacity to appreciate the Lord's mercy. Krishna is telling in Bhagavad Gita, Pitaham asya jagato mata data pitamaha. I am your father, your mother, your grandfather, your great-grandfather, and everything for you permanently. In other words, he means to say that I am your affectionate father, and I am always thinking of your well-being. And it is for this reason that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Absolute Truth, descends as avatar. Lord Ramachandra is an avatar. He is the descent. Avatar. Tar means to cross. Ava means to come down. Avatar means to come across the spiritual realm, the blissful spiritual realm, into the material realm. And when he comes into the material realm, he, in this particular incarnation, in this particular avatar, assumes the role of a human being, like a human being. That is mentioned in Bhagavad Gita too. Manusham tanu ashritam. Param bhavam ajananto mamabhuta maheshwaram. To those of you who have been in the Bhagavad Gita sessions, you know that we discuss this. The Lord is saying that I am not understood in this world because people see me as a human being. But actually, while I'm a human being, supposedly, seemingly, I exhibit my supreme qualities, my greatness, and some of them understand it. So, coming into the society of human beings has got a plan. Only when human beings accept the Lord as one amongst themselves will they relate with him. In this world, we see that people, when they are looking at you on a higher pedestal, they don't relate with you. They may look at you with awe and respect. They may be afraid of you. They may not be able to relate with you very well. Being a sannyasi, sometimes I have this big problem that people with awe and respect wherever you go relate with you, but I am not able to actually get down and speak with them and make them feel comfortable so that I can give them instructions on practical spiritual life. So many times I had to fold my sleeves and go down to be, don't worry type of thing. I can understand what the situation will be otherwise to other people. Supreme Personality Godhead to descend into the material realm and then exhibit his position and play different roles as a human being, and then show us how to play those roles in a perfect way so that we can achieve perfection in human society. We can live happily in human society. We can lead a good material life. We can achieve human goals, and we can finally achieve the Supreme Personality of God, its special favor. These are wonderful reasons why the Lord descends. And while he descends, he exhibits those amazing qualities. And we discussed how Lord Rama, as a young boy, 12 years old, exhibited some of his beautiful greatness and his wonderful qualities. So quite often people ask, who is Lord Rama? So we have to understand this, first of all, that he is a Supreme Personality of Godhead, coming as an avatar to be in human society. Kritavan kila karmani saharamena keshava. Atimartyanti Bhagavan Guda Kapata Manusha. Kapata Manush is not actually a Manushya, a false human being, but he's behaving like a human being so that he will get attention and his instructions can be given. So even the Lord has a strategy in conveying the information he wants to convey to you. Normally, nobody listens to God. In this material world also, we may be obedient towards God's some instructions because we are afraid. And that's don't want his God and surrender to that. So God also has got his own strategy, how he can get our attention. So therefore, understanding this, we should understand that the principle of the Ramayana is meant to teach us how to surrender to God and how to do that aspect in quality under a leadership of a guru. The leadership of a guru is maybe the most important leadership we will ever see in the material world. The guru becomes the most important person because leading a person would mean taking him from point 1 to point 2, from A to B, which means A is one position he is in and B is another position which is much better. Between A to B, he has graduated in learning. He has learned, he has grown, and he has become prosperous. He has come out in transformation and change. That is the meaning of a leader. And the guru actually conveys deep internal transformation for a person. I spoke to you about personal internal leadership that we need to give ourselves. And the high point, the highlight of that is taking instruction from such a guru. Tad vidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattva darshinaha. Krishna says this to Bhagavad Gita, in Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna. We must seek such a guru. And such were the persons Vashishta, Vishwamitra, and even the father is a guru to the son. The parents play the role of a guru, a teacher to the son too. So these are very important personalities in our life, those who instruct us, those who are interested in us and therefore instruct us. So when such people chastise us, correct us, we don't mind, though temporarily we may be disturbed a little bit. But in the long run, we don't mind. Have somebody who will actually correct you, to have somebody who will guide you is one of the greatest boons of life. To get good counsel is very difficult. That's why we depend a lot on our parents, because they are the people we know for sure are very interested in us. And therefore, children will depend on you a lot. And you should pay that back to them. Give that to them by giving them good instructions. And this is what Vishwamitra did, this is what Vashishta did. Their intentions were very pure and they were very straightforward in doing that so that the children would get. And so we are also charged with that same responsibility in terms of our wards, our children. And we discussed that in great detail yesterday. Ramachandra, he went to the forest with Vishwamitra Muni. Actually, he went to the forest 2 times. One with Vishwamitra Muni, and he had great learning from that experience. And we saw him come back with rewards. Then he was again sent to the forest after 12 years, but for a completely different reason due to totally different machinations within the family. But there also he performed wonderfully and he did a lot of activities in the forest and he came back again victoriously. So these things in Lord Ramachandra's life, we heard how he went to the forest the first time with Vishwamitra. We're going to hear today why he went to the forest the second time and what learning accrued from that and what he gave to everybody. You see, I want to share with you briefly. You can see my screen. I don't know whether you can see my screen. Let's see how I can share. 1 minute. I want you to see my, how does it happen? Screen. Yeah. Can you see my screen now on your computer, or if you've got a, anything else with you? Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, Maharaj. Your screen is shared, Maharaj. We are able to see.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Yes, Maharaj, we are able to hear you.
Okay, fine. Here goes. Now can you see my screen?
Yes, Maharaj.
Okay.
Yes, Maharaj.
Right. Yeah. So I just want to speak to you today a little bit on foundational leadership before I get into discussing with you particular things from the Ramayana. Leadership is a big topic, and many people constantly have contributed to it. And there's a whole lot of stuff available based on the experiences of different people. I want to bring to you one of our sannyasis is a doctorate, and he did some research on this. And recently he told us that there was a very special social engineering, a social, what shall I say, study done on American population in New York. And they asked them, in a leader, so they came out with, when we enter political life, because political people are one of the most important leaders of society, human, and all over the world we have different governments, they have political leaders who lead the government, and all of us are under the mercy of that leadership. And we're also seeing a monarchy leadership with Dasharath, and we see other people also in the story of Ramayana. Therefore, they asked them, I did a fantastic, huge study. I want to share that with you today. They asked the questioners, they said, foundationally, according to moral foundations, ethical foundations, I will vote for that type of a leader in today, in this day and age, who has any one of, or all of them, or some of them of the following qualities. They called it the moral foundations required for political life. And I will do this because I value these things. These are values for me in a leader. It's very interesting to know, because we are talking about leadership today, and we're studying about leadership thousands of years ago in the Ramayana. And I will show you that there are very close parallels. Just that the requirements these days have decreased a lot. What we are asking of the leaders is nothing compared to what the leaders were giving previously and what the people wanted previously. So I'm trying to say that it's quite possible to meet these things if we study the Ramayana and what we need to do now and how to bring it down, focus down. So 6 moral foundations that spoke about. 1, caring. The quality of having an attitude of care is something that is distinctly missing. Children, we discussed about, they want attention and care from their parents. And they have found that they feel, I'm not getting enough attention and care as I want, because my father works, my mother also works. I don't get to see them. I get to see them at weekends. Even if I see them on weekdays, they hardly have time to spend with me. I get care from a hired lady, somebody who's keeping me together, whatever you want to call them. But I don't really value that so much. Caring, even for those people who work under you, as an employee, you may be working. Caring is one of the greatest requirements these days. What to speak of children alone? Your employees want care. In society, people want care. They seek counsel. And I know that I'm in this position constantly, people approaching me for wanting counsel, wanting care. And we, even in our own congregations, appoint people to give care as mentors, as counselors, so that you be available. It's the greatest requirement in this day and age. So a leader who gives care is somebody who is going to be getting a good point. Number 2, fairness. Fairness in dealing with issues. Fairness without any bias and prejudice. Judgments properly done. Being fair, not being in any way tilted to one side or the other. This seems to be one of the requirements, because most often than not, people have nepotism, favoritism in organizations. People do favors to their bosses. And in this way, they curry their favor and they move up the corporate ladder. And so many things happen. And there's no proper assessment. And people feel that they have not been treated fairly in an issue, in judgments, in assessments, and everything. So one leader must be very fair. He must be very neutral. That's a wonderful capacity in a person, not to be leaning to one side or this side, but be fair. Number 3 is liberty. Giving people the liberty to be themselves, to be free in expressing themselves, to be persons who can actually voice, and they should be heard, and they should not be normalized. No, that's not the opinion we seek now. Everybody should be given their liberty as a free individual. You know, American Constitution talks about that right from the beginning. The 4 is loyalty, loyalty towards the country, loyalty towards its people, loyalty towards the leaders, loyalty towards the race, human race, and everything else. Being loyal is one of a great quality in a leader. And because he evinces that loyalty, all others under him also follow suit. They're also loyal to the country. They're also loyal to the government. They're also loyal to the systems and everything that has been set up. They are loyal to the laws that has been set up. In this way, a leader models loyalty. Number 5, most popular. All these 6 are very popular. Number 5 is authority. I want my leader to have an authority above him. I want him to have the authority of the Constitution. I want the authority of previous leaders. I want him to have the authority of scripture. I want him the authority of ministers. Like we see here, I spoke about Dasharath had the authority of Brahminical ministers. He had a Brahminical council. I spoke to you about Suyagnya. I spoke to you about Jabali. I spoke to you about Vashishta. And all of the great people were real authorities. He surrendered to them, whatever they would advise. And they would be the best of advisors. Surrendering to authority makes a leader have a position of authority. If I don't have an authority above me, if I'm an authority unto myself, a self-styled authority, then people don't put a confidence in you. 6, sanctity. What does it mean in there? This is in secular terms. They mean it should be having some purity, some spirituality, some religiosity, some inclination towards something divine. This is an amazing thing to be part of the quality of a leader. People respect that a person is spiritually oriented. A person practices yoga. In Western terminology, spiritual means that you have compassion, you have love, you have interest in developing spiritually, you do yoga, you're kind to animals, you recognize others' rights. All these things are supposed to be some form of spiritual qualities. Of course, their understanding may be little on a more fundamental level. We have a more foundational understanding, maybe from the scriptures like Bhagavad Gita and everything. And we can talk about that. So these 6 qualities, you can see all of these qualities and more in Ramachandra. And I told you yesterday, because the Supreme Personality of Godhead has come down and he is modeling a true leader. Therefore, he'll be very good and perfect in all the roles that he plays, in all his leadership roles. I know in this world, people will talk about many different types of leadership roles because people are so many. People are of various types. There are all sorts of people in this world. And we cannot expect that one type of leadership will satisfy everything. Different places, according to the backgrounds, according to the culture, according to the roots, according to the interests and tastes of the people, and according to the development of the place, different types of leaderships are necessitated. But sometimes in history, we can see people trying to say that one type of leadership, by making everybody homogenized. You have a heterogeneous group of people, but if by your leadership you homogenize everybody, what comes to my mind immediately is Hitler. Hitler, he wanted everybody to be one type. He went to the extent of destroying certain types of people, so that he said, he spoke about eugenics, good progeny, having good birth and producing good people, so that they will all listen to what he says. And he wanted to minus everybody's individuality, their liberty as it is asked for here, and make everybody same. A lot of times leaders do that. Within their domain, in their family, the parents sometimes, especially the father, is seen as somebody who's like a dictator almost. He dictates, and the children have to do certain things in a particular way, but not much expression of their individuality, their free choice, their own particular requirements. And so also in an organization, sometimes you see it's very tight and rigid, and people are not given their spaces to express their talent, to express their creativity, to express their capabilities. It is constrained. Everybody has to stick into a mold. Our educational system is very much like that. It doesn't recognize individuality at all. It's one size fits all type of education. But actually, education, many places where the developed countries, you see that education is tailor-made for each person by a group of very talented, creative teachers. And then that person becomes highly productive afterwards. So we can speak about homogenization of a very heterogeneous populace. And that is one of the greatest mistakes of leadership. Some leaders are so autocratic and dictatorial. And we will discuss that in terms of Ravana being so. Ravana was not only this, but it was a combination of several things. So that is one of the great. So I foundationally want to talk to you, although all these concepts of leaderships are around and we can discuss them, and we will be discussing them. We'll be discussing servant leadership. We'll be discussing other types of leadership, transactional, transformational leadership. And we will take examples of all these things from the Ramayana. There are beautiful examples of this. And these are terms in modern life, in this day and age. But actually, we have examples of far broader leaderships. I don't know what you can call them in terms of terminologies, but they are brilliant examples. And all these are very much accommodated within that. So what I like to say to you is that foundationally, there are two categories. If we study the history, especially into Vedic tradition, into Indian tradition, into Vedic history, we'll see foundationally there are two concepts and two types of leaderships, I would say. One is very personal and one is impersonal. I want to bring this to you. And under these, we can have the other categories. When I say this personal, impersonal, I want to bring about one of the most important things that is important for all types of leadership. It is, number one, we are all essentially persons. We are dynamic spiritual entities. The Bhagavad Gita calls us spirit soul, Atma. Now, whether in the world today they would agree towards this or not, but one thing everybody agrees, we have a powerful individual spiritual dimension. We are essentially spiritual beings. The Bhagavad Gita tells us that we are eternal spiritual beings. Our bodies are temporary. Our material situations are temporary between birth and death. But we are existing as permanent individuals beyond our death and beyond our birth. And we continuously exist. And consciousness that we have now is a direct proof of our spiritual existence. We have that dimension. So the spiritual existence is an indication of a powerful personal identity. In the similar way, God is also a personality. And he is just a supreme personality, far, far more greater in quantity. In quality, he is also a spiritual personality like you and me. So our leadership should definitely cater to our essential identities. And when we relate person to person, that becomes a very ideal leadership. But when we look at other persons impersonally, without giving them their recognition as individual spiritual personalities, by looking at them only as resources, material resources, human resources, not even at looking them as human beings, then we are putting ourselves into great difficulty. The foundation problems in management comes with personal relationships, understanding each other personally. And when we have this thing going, everybody knows that when we have a good relationship going, a deep relationship going, then amazing things can be achieved through people. So I want to classify that two categories, personal and impersonal. The problem with management that we do today, and the management that we had in the past, in Indian tradition, you'll see, my whole purpose of this series is to bring about the fact and importance of our leadership and management in India should definitely be on the basis of the ethos that prevails in this country, culture, the great spiritual tradition, the wonderful Vedic following that we had in the past, and to some extent, a vestige of it in the present. The International Society for Krishna Consciousness, ISKCON, is dedicated to bringing that to the extent it's possible and spreading that. Because I think Indians have a very vital internal advantage. That is their cultural roots. But unfortunately now, a lot of the management principles we have got is from the Western world. We get this from the Western world. And due to that, it's a mapping of the Western form of management, which we have picked up especially from the Britishers. Since the time of the Britishers, who very amazingly, patiently did the job of indoctrinating Indians. I'm not here Hindu fanatic or something against the past, and I'm not speaking anything political, but I'm speaking about the history of India and the history of leadership in India, how it transformed over a long period of time. It's a very interesting history. So a lot of it was based on Ramayana, Mahabharata, and the values that these beautiful epics that really happened in this soil, they gave to people. Beautiful values. So this moral foundations that I spoke about is a distant country cousin of those type of values, which they are recognizing today. A leader should have care, he should be loyal, he should be having some sanctity, he should give some liberty. But all this and more was present in the Vedic system of thought. And the leaders were highly noble. They were very, very broad-minded. And they accommodated all sorts of people inside. And they cared for all sorts of people, from all castes, from all creeds, from all dynasties, from all races. They were all, they're listed at different, Pulinda, Pulakasha, Yabhir, Sundha, Yavana, Kashadaya, like the different races of people were under Yudhishthira Maharaj. The Khasa race is the Chinese race. The Yavana race is the Turkish race. The Ottoman Empire and the Turks and Persians, all of those people, I think. And there's a whole lot of racial structure that all of them were feeling very comfortable under the Empire of Yudhishthira. Because he was catering to all of them. He was caring for all of them and giving them what they needed and leading them. I told you, leading them from 1 to 2.2, giving them advantage, pushing them, learning. They were growing under. He was not treating all of them the same way. So the problem is we have adopted the very popular Western management system. And that is based on a particular type of economy in this world, GDP and all that stuff. If they look at it in terms of GDP, they have found out that, in India, in the past, even before the Britishers came, the GDP of India was something like 32. And when they left, Britishers left, it was like less than 1. The amount of damage that was done in terms of GDP. So I just want to say, how was it like that before? And this is recognized by all, modern economists, that India was leading in the world in terms of economy, in terms of culture, in terms of everything, technology, everything together. So therefore, it's very interesting to know what type of leadership prevailed then. Without studying that history, it will be very, we won't be doing good justice to have leadership lessons from the Ramayana. We should know the ethos that prevailed then and the leadership coming from that type of ethos. So having that type of a Vedic culture in our country, it is worth to actually get to know that type of ethos and try to put our management as far as possible of that type of ethos. This is a significant difference. We have a management system, a leadership system, I should say leadership, based on an ethos of the Western world. Of course, it's got its own advantages. It's not something wrong. It's wonderful. There are good points in that. We should take that too. Not to say that we are condemning that or speaking ill against it. We live in that now, and we are getting our gains out of it. But there is a fallout out of that. There is a deep destruction of our own personal identity in terms of our own culture, our spiritual life, our advancement, our actual happiness inside. So we are in a great advantageous position to marry these two things together. Srila Prabhupada, our founder, called it the marriage, the friendship of the lame man and the blind man. He said in the Western world, people are blind. They are blind towards spiritual life. They're blind towards the goal of life, human life and everything. But they are very good with their legs, technology and industrial revolution that was, manifested by the British, and all those things they're very good at. So he said the lame man and the blind man story. And he said the blind man is carrying the lame man, and his legs are being used, and the lame man's eyes are being used, and together they become a complete human being. So Prabhupada said, if we can marry these two, the great capacity that the Western world has in management and doing fantastic technological things and civilization, blah blah, etc., and the spiritual foresight and insight that people have in India, then we live a perfect human society. So I want to bring that here and say that we should take from both sides. And unfortunately, now we have a lot from the Western style of management, and we're even sacrificing some of the things that we advantageously have and possess, which even the Westerners know that's a good thing you have, and they look forward towards us. So that's why I'm trying to bring about this personal and impersonal, this thing. In personal management, in personal leadership, I've drawn this little figure for you. In personal leadership, you will see the persons who are involved, they lead from the heart and more from the heart. And in personal leadership, they lead more from the head. It's rationalization, it's intelligence, it's market analysis, it's money, it's marketing, it's shrewdness, it's sometimes and most of the times cheating. It's doing many of these things and gaining profit. But in personal life, although these other things are not missing fully, but there's a good balance. And there's a lot more leading from the heart with the feeling. Person and feeling. That's why they say women make good leaders these days, especially in this day of Kali Yuga, because they are a little more emotional and they're a little more from the heart. Of course, that's being changed gradually, but we wish that they would retain that aspect. And men lead more from the head. They're very analytical. They're very shrewd. They're very good at technology. They are good at all this stuff. And their things generally turn to be a little more looking for material resource. And when you have a personal leadership, then you have more care and you spread in community, you're community based, and you're bothered about the community. Like in India, you have CSR, corporate social responsibility for the sake of the community and for the people. You're using the resources of the community and you should give back to the community. A little bit has started like that. But this leadership is fully oriented towards that. Humanitarian views, they look at you as a human being, not only as a human resource. And there's a lot of accent on cultural aspects. Today, in globalization, one of the most important things is cultural aspect. How to understand the culture of that country where we want to open up, and how to melt and merge with that culture. So these types of leadership that we saw, servant leadership, and that very cool leadership, laissez-faire leadership, all that is very much to do with the personal type. And the impersonal type, where you are very interested in human resource, recruiting people like that, materialistically oriented to only towards matter manipulation, and looking at only money, economy, GDP alone, is having its impact felt already. And that's why we have human resource department. Previously, it was called personal department. The human being is very important. Relationships with him, his need, his care is one of the most important things in leadership. And from that type of leadership springs all this authoritative and autocratic leadership. And a good merger of these two things is the democratic and participative leadership. So I'm going to focus a lot on explaining to you all these different things from characters in the Ramayana. And I'm trying to propose a new CSR. In India, we should take advantage of this. We should take advantage of this foundational, wonderful culture and tradition we have. Cull those leadership principles from that, and then take advantageously everything from the Western world and evolve our new CSR. I call that the cultural and social responsibility, a leadership oriented towards a new CSR. We have corporate social responsibility, but we should have culture and social cultural and spiritual responsibility.
People are telling that only the screen sharing is done, but Anup is telling you can also on the video. Okay.
Is it?
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm finished with this screen sharing. So coming back to 1 minute, he wants me to put on the video. I'll stop the broadcast because I'm okay with this. Can you see me now?
Videos.
Can you see me
Maharaj.
now? Okay. Oops. I don't know, but I can't see my screen for some reason. That's okay, but if you can see me. So I want to take this whole leadership lesson on this foundation principles. And according to that, examine things. So today, I wanted to talk to you very much about the second going of Rama to the forest. In that, we have some fantastic leadership principles that we can understand. Plus, we can also understand some things. You will see all these things in your workplace and in your own life also. You know, Ramachandra came back and he lived very wonderfully with Sita for 12 years in the palace. We discussed that yesterday. And everybody was so joyful. The entire Ayodhya loved Rama. They loved him so much because he had this amazing magnetic quality of appealing to everybody because he was a supreme lord. He was very nice looking in stature, very handsome looking, a good build physically, and a beautiful countenance. And his behavior was so good. Everybody he had relationship with, everybody in the palace, the maids in the palace, the servant maids in the palace, the people on the road, the citizens everywhere, everybody would give their life for Rama. He became the life of everybody within those, 25 years that he was there. So now, and also in the palace, all the three wives of Dasharatha, the principal wives, Kaushalya, Sumitra, and Kaikai, they loved Ram so much more than their own children. For Kaikai, she openly told Dasharath, my love for Ram is greater than my love for Bharat. What a wonderful person he is. I am constantly thinking of him. And I'm waiting, as soon as I get up in the morning, I'm waiting to see him. So also Dasharath, you can imagine what an impact he had as a personality, as a person, in terms of his character, in terms of his qualities, all those things that we listed here, they have done in social science and in that whole social psychology and study. That care, fairness, liberty, sanctity, authority, name it, all these things, everything was brimming in Ramachandra. And there were also other people involved in the whole story. One fine day, Dasharath called Ramachandra all of a sudden, and he was summoned, and he went immediately to meet his father, very respectfully touched his father's feet, and Dasharath embraced Ramachandra and had him sit next to him in his throne and told him, my dear Rama, you're everything for me. I have grown old and I have seen everything in my life, and I've enjoyed life, and I've done my duties completely. Only one thing remains, to put you on that throne of great kings that came in our dynasty. I want to coronate you as the emperor, as the king. And then I'll rest in peace. Something tells me, I had after the bad dream I had last night, something tells me I should do this immediately, and I want it done tomorrow. So please get ready. I had a bad dream yesterday, and therefore I felt this should be done tomorrow. Since Bharata is not here, it doesn't mind. It doesn't matter. We should still go ahead with it. It doesn't matter because Bharata will have no objection to it. This comment he made. And Ramachandra immediately paid his obeisance. Father, whatever pleases you. If you feel I should be crowned and I should rule, I'll do so. If you feel I shouldn't do it, I'm happy not to do so. Whatever pleases you is my life. And Dasharath was so happy to hear Rama speak those things. And to everybody who would speak very nicely, according to culture, according to everything. So he went with Sita and he said, we have to do the following austerities and penance for today and tonight. And this is what's going to happen tomorrow. And then he went to his mother, Kaushalya, and he told her this is what, and she smiled at him and said, I already know about it. And my son, I wish you all good. Be a good king. You will be. And I'm so happy to hear this. Already people were around. All of the others were around. And they were already talking about it. Such a good news. And then Rama, as usual, was his steady self. He went with Sita to perform all those necessary things. But everything was not so good in the entire Ayodhya. There may be sometimes everybody having the same view and enjoying the same, but we will never notice that there'll be 1, 2 people who think differently and who may change history. They may. It's amazing. Kaikai was very happy. But there was one lady who was a key figure in the whole of Ramayana, who was the servant of Kaikai, who had been serving for a very long time in the dynasty of Kaikai. And was very familiar with the family, very close to Kaikai. The hunchbacked mantra, holding a stick in a hand, bent double. She was on the top of the building of the palace. And suddenly she notices a lot of celebrations everywhere. Crackers were bursting. The roads were being lined with, sandalwood water. And people were talking everywhere, laughing and enjoying, jumping, dancing, singing. What's happening? Why is it so festive, the atmosphere? She started thinking, And she asked a servant girl who was standing next to her, "What's happening? Why is everybody celebrating? You don't know? You don't know that Rama is going to be coronated tomorrow." She had suddenly a Rama coronated tomorrow? I don't know this. She quickly ran down the staircase. One person was thinking very differently from the whole of Ayodhya. She quickly ran down. And she hurried down with her hunchback and with her stick, ran into Kaikeyi's room. And Kaikeyi was dressing herself, singing, and so happy Ramachandra is going to get coronated. And she told her, "What are you doing here? Did you hear what's happening?" And she was very happy. She said, "You silly woman, you don't know?" And she started a completely different paradigm of thought. She started telling her, "You're stupid, you're foolish. You don't know what's happening. You don't know that the wild king Dashratha, your husband, is plotting against you. You don't know that he and Kaushalya together are going to coronate their son Rama, and you will be after that just a servant in the house, and your son will be a nobody. You don't know that? How can you remain quiet? Don't you see the plot?" Kaikeyi said, "What's wrong with you, Mandara? What happened to you? Rama is getting coronated. This is what I always wanted. It's what everybody wanted. The sweet, beautiful, wonderful Rama. The heart of everybody. He's going to get coronated. What's wrong with you? You should be very happy at this news. I am so happy, and you have come to me with this news today again. I want to give you my necklace." Kaikeyi gave her most valuable necklace to Manthara, saying, "You brought this news to me." As soon as Manthara received it in her hand, she tore it apart and threw it on the floor and said, "You idiot, you stupid lady. You don't hear what I'm saying." She said, "What's wrong with you, Manthara? I gave you this precious necklace. You tore it to pieces, broke it and threw it. Because you're not hearing me. You don't understand. I have your interest with me. I know you. I've served you. Listen to me." She was very expert in getting Kaikeyi's attention. Very experienced lady. Has seen that place for many years. So she started working on that Kaikeyi. It was like, North Pole apart. Completely different. She said, "You're stupid. You don't see what's happening. Why is the king doing coronation when Bharat is not here? That you must ask this question first. You're so foolish. Why is he in a hurry to do coronation tomorrow when Bharat is not here? Can't you understand?" And Sunny said, "Yeah, I didn't think about it. But Bharat wouldn't mind." "You foolish woman," she said again. You don't know what you're doing. I know. I'm telling you, this is a plot. This is a conspiracy." But something happened to Kaikeyi in her head. Things start slowly. Change occurs very slowly in powerful influence. Hitler said that he was the whole, he wanted to be the emperor of the whole world, actually. He was controlling people like nothing. At least to the Germans, he said, if you repeatedly tell the same lie again and again, people will finally follow it and they'll think that to be the truth. So he repeatedly told people certain things, and he completely told the entire German population to follow him. They followed him. The Jews are our enemy. They should be exterminated. 6 million Jews were exterminated, and all the Germans supported him. So these type of things can be done over a period of time, especially when you have a good relationship with somebody. So Manthara worked on her, and amazingly, Kaikeyi remembered something. An amazing thing she remembered, that long back, when King Dasharath came to seek the hand of Kaikeyi, and Kaikeyi's father, Kekeya kingdom, He said, no, it'll be done only under certain conditions. He said, whatever the condition is, because he was madly in love with Kaikeyi, a beautiful lady. What was this condition? The condition was, you see, the problem is, you, Dasharath, the famous king, emperor, you have other wives. Sons from other wives will get to the throne. My daughter's sons will not get to the throne because they are more senior. He said, no, I don't have any sons out of them. Why are you worried? Kaikeyi will have sons, and that's why I'm marrying. And those sons will become king. He said, no, what if they get sons after? So that will not happen. He said, no, what if happens? You must tell me only Kaikeyi's sons will get to the throne. He said, of course. Because at that time he had no sons from anybody, any of his wives. He said, of course, that's why I'm marrying her. And her sons only will become the king naturally. I'm looking for an heir to the throne. So at that time, the situation was very different. And he said yes. And they actually had this sort of written down. It was called a shulka, an agreement. And Kaikeyi did not know at that time. Only the king and Dasharath knew. And later the king, on the day of the marriage, told Kaikeyi, this is the agreement and the promise. I want you to know, my dear. When she thought, okay, it's okay, I'm in love with Dasharath, she did not bother about it much. Then she took part in Dasharath's life wonderfully. She became the most beautiful, favorite queen of Dasharath. Neither Sumitra nor Kaushalya, because she was very beautiful and she was very capable. And she fought wars with him. There is a whole story of he being called by the demigods, by Indra, to fight Shambhara. And it was a fearful demon, fierce demon. And then he fought. Dasharath was Dasharatha, means in 10 directions he will fight on his Radham. He was such a great warrior simultaneously. So that's why he was so good a warrior that even the demigods borrowed him, please come and help us. So he fought and he killed it. But during that time, he got hurt. He went unconscious. She took him away on the chariot, nursed him back. And she is known to have put her finger in the gudgeon pin of the wheel and served as the gudgeon pin because the chariot wheel was falling down. It was very painful, and she did all these things for her husband's victory. So knowing that she has done these things, Dasharath became so pleased with his beautiful wife. He said, you're willing to give your life to me. Ask me for any 2 boons, I'll give you. She said, no, I'll ask you in due course of time. Because she was not very bothered. I'm your wife. Why were you asking me all this? It's okay. So they passed like that. Now Mantra came and revived that feeling in her. Easy caught an intimate but. So that rang a bell in Kaikeyi. There is this agreement. So all of a sudden she became, why is it being done? Then she stepped up again because Mantra does not know that she knows this. Mantra doesn't know this agreement. So she stepped up again and said, you're foolish. This is what will happen to you. You will face severe difficulty. You'll be a nobody. Kaushalya will be everybody. She'll be the queen. And now she's the queen and she will become the king's mother and she'll have power like nothing. And Sita is just a small girl. She won't really function as a queen. Kaushalya will become the real queen. And then you will be a nobody. And then who will be Bharat? Bharat will be assistant. And what happens to you? And you are supposed to get this. So then slowly, as he convinced, it changed. His mind changed. Her mind changed. In what way it changed? Amazingly. Oh, is it so? And then she started talking. And Mantra started speaking again and again and again. And convincing. And then gradually, Kaikeyi fully understood. Wow, this is what? It became true in her mind. And then she started, if not for you, Mantra, what would have happened to me? My gosh, I will be the queen. My son will be the king. She suddenly got a different ambition inside her. This poison Mantra gave her. She changed. She changed. And then immediately she said, how can I do this? How can I achieve it? Then Mantra told her, you don't remember this boon he gave you? She said, when? What? She said, you don't remember? You told me this years back. The secret you told me. Now use that boon. When the king comes, don't go back. Be bold. Be courageous. Don't become weak. Ask him for this boon. Number one, tell him, my son Bharat should be crowned. Number two, send Ramachandra to the forest for 14 years. Ask him of this. It came out from Mantra only. Ask him of this. Be bold and situate yourself properly. You should know what's going on behind you. You don't know. I am here to help you. I have nothing else but your interest. Not true. Mantra has got a history. She's always been a hunchback, greatly disadvantaged. People have teased her throughout her youth. Socially, she's been a misfit. Somehow she got to do this service in this kingly clan and they accepted her and she's grown up there. So she's got some position in society. But even Ramachandra, if you go back to Vasishta's days in the school, in the Gurukula, Ramachandra and all of them were playing like nothing. They were very young, very highly mischievous and running around. At that time, they were learning archery and everything. And they used to, whenever they see a wet patch and mud and all that, they would jump into it and roll the clay balls and hit each other and have a clay fight in the palace grounds. And sometimes Kaushalya and Kaikai and Sumitra and all come, don't do this, don't. They'll come to them, they'll fight. Laugh when they'll throw these clay balls on, Kaikai, Kaushalya and Sumitra, and they'll all be drenched with this, they'll laugh. And sometimes they would see here and there other people and they do this to them also in the palace. One day, Mantra was passing by. No, she's a servant of Kaikai. So they looked and Lakshmana and Rama look at this. She's a very good target for a clay ball. And they aimed at her hump on the back. They took an arrow and put this ball on the side of it, but special arrow, and shot it. Rama shot it. And it went and splash on her, drenched her completely. She was so angry, Mantra, and looked with furious eyes at Rama. Rama was laughing. Small boy who was laughing. At that time, she looked very angry at Rama and started. So Kaikai immediately went to her and said, don't worry, please, don't get angry. Small boys, they don't know and all, but she was mumbling and how horrible this is. They did this to me. She did not like Rama. There was one person in Ayodhya didn't like Rama, Mantra. And now she was actually keeping that in her head. Rama is getting coronated. You shall not. You did this to me. And she convinced Kaikai. And Kaikai fell for this. And she said, go and do this. Go and lie in that beautiful palace, special room that you have for you, the Kopashala you have. You go there and lie down and you throw these jewels around and just put on a, face full of anger and sadness and everything. And when the king comes, he will definitely come to see you. He's greatly in love with you. You ask him of this. In this way, in the palace, while arrangements were going on there for coronation and Sita and Rama were observing penances, these things were going on here. And after saying this to Rama, he went to see Kaikai, Dashrath. And by the time this has happened, and even Kaikai, where are you? He kept asking in the palace. Normally she'll be right there. And he said, where are you? And then he looked right inside, and he saw her on the floor. All the jewels and necklace, everything scattered. And her whole, countenance sad and angry and hair and all spread. Fantastic actor she was. When women get to do things, if they want to, they do it very nicely. Sorry for making this comment, but they do it very nicely. They know how to do this well. She did it. And I don't want to describe in great detail, but Dasharath was saying, what happened to you? My dear Kaikai. He went and took her on her lap and said, who did this to you? Did anybody disobey you? Did anybody speak ill of you? Tell me, I'll finish him. Who is the person who's done this now? And very expertly Kaikai handled Dasharath. Then she came, once she got her attention, very slowly she started. You must promise me that you will give me what I want. Of course I'll give you. You are everything to me. Everything is very wonderful and I'm so happy about things. Tell me what you want. Are you sure? You promised me, never go back on your word. Why are you worried, Kaikai? I'll do everything for you. She kept on repeating it. For a king who doesn't keep up his word, for a person, you must, are you sure? Tell me, don't worry. She prepared him like that. Then she opened up and said, this is what I want from you. I want my son to be coronated as king. I want Ramachandra to go to the forest for 14 years. When Dasharath heard that, he said, what? What is wrong with you? Kaikai, were you not the person who told me that Rama is really your son more than Bharat? Who has spoken to you? Somebody has been spoiling you. Oh, come on, I'm sure you don't mean this. You don't mean this. And so, he couldn't believe it. He couldn't believe it. It's a beautiful description in the Ramayana. I'm cutting it short. He couldn't believe it. And she said, now don't go back on your word, my dear king. You told me this. Then she started becoming a different person. And he was more and more surprised. What happened to you? Why did you change like this? Who has changed you? Then she started speaking. See, you're a weak king. You're afraid of giving me and keeping me your word. You promised. And now you're going back. And that's it. Then Dasharath knew something is wrong. He started begging her, please don't. I don't believe it that you're putting up an act. No, I told you this should happen. Otherwise, I will simply commit suicide before the coronation tomorrow. And you will see my dead body. She really pushed him. And there's a huge conversation going on there. Full of agony, Dasharath was. What is this? I'm stuck inside this now. And then he fainted and fell down. I don't think this is true. He fainted. Again, when he got up, she again told him, you're a weak fellow. What will people talk about you? You've broken your promise. What will the dynasty, the other kings say about you? The fellow didn't keep up a promise that he gave to his queen. And then he did this, he cheated her. And they'll talk like this about you. You want to go down in history like that? Then he kept asking, that sweet Rama, you want to send him to the forest? Why? If you want, I can crown Bharat. But why you want Rama to go to the forest? So many permutations and combinations he tried to do and solve the problem, but no way. Manthara had told her, don't budge. Just keep this up. The influence of Manthara on Kaikai. You will see nothing could be done. And then Rama, he came to take blessings from the father because I have to go tonight and tomorrow is the coronation. He came. In fact, no, they called for him. Kaikai said Dasharath should call for him and tell him himself. And if you're not able to tell him, I will tell him. You call him. So he called for Rama to come. Why is he being called at this time of the day? So he went hurriedly, and what he saw, he was very surprised. What happened to my father? And he asked his mother Kaikai, what happened to my father? He said, no, you ask him. Your father is stoned because he's, worried how he will say certain things to you. She put on a very good act. She totally changed. Kaikai totally changed. And Dasharath looking at him said, who is this? He said, you're a demoness. You're a Rakshashi. You Rakshashi, said all sorts of things against her. And she just kept quiet and said, just keep your promise. And that's when she said, if you cannot do it, summon him. I will tell him. Then Rama asked, these are very amazing conversations. Rama asked, what is it that he has not done? What do you want? My dear father, tell me what I can do for you. Then she said, no, he'll not be able to tell you. He's not able to tell you because he's afraid that you will not do it or you cannot do it. Then he said, no, whatever my father says, I'll do it. Then she got it out of him also, saying that I'll keep up my father's this thing, all that. And Dasharatha started groaning. Oh, what this lady is, how she is doing it. Then she went ahead and told, this is what is the story. I asked of him the following boons. Amazingly, Rama did not bat an eyelid. If this is what my father wants, I am ready to do that. There is nothing about it. Why are you worried? My father, don't worry, I'm ready to do that. Right now, she said, you must do it right now. Today, you must go to the forest. That is the plan. You go and get ready. He's not able to tell you, you go and get ready. My father, I'll be ready to do that for you. He didn't say anything. He couldn't talk. He was just fainting. And this happened. And then, of course, other things unfolded. People came to know. Kaushalya came to know. She fainted. Lakshmana came to know. He said, I'll finish that king, that useless fellow. He became so angry. Lakshmana is Lakshmana. This is what I'll do. They're talking like this about you. What is that? The foolish king? He's simply, that wife of his is doting on his wife, and whatever the wife says is listening. What wrong have you done to anybody? Everybody loves you. You should be the king. I am sure Bharat also is not bothered about it. Initially he said, later he said, maybe Bharat, something. You will finish Bharat when he comes. We will do this, tell them, I'll finish all of them. He got very angry. Then Rama consoled him also. That's not the way to think. We should do what the father wants. He's the king. What is your problem? That doesn't matter to me. After 14 years, I can come back and I can do the needful if necessary. Don't worry. And he told Kaushalya, I have to go to the forest today. She fainted. Then Lakshmana said, I am coming with you. Sita said, he told Sita that, so you please take care of my mother, take care of my father, and be a good listener, be careful, don't talk wrong things to Bharat. Don't think wrongly about Bharat. He's a very saintly person, he's a nice person. Whatever he says, you must carry out, he's the king. Then there's another big session with Sita. The great talk, great speech you gave, my dear husband. You think that you go to the forest and I enjoy the palace here? And she spoke about Stri Dharma and wife's Dharma and everything. I go where you go, that's all. There is no discussion on this. And then all these things happened and Lakshmana and Sita came back along with Rama to see Dasharatha, saying that both Sita and Lakshmana want to come with me and give me permission, I'm going. And then Dasharatha said, arrange the army, arrange all supplies for him, arrange this, arrange that and all that. And Kaikeyi said, is that the way he's going to go there? Is Ayodhya going to go there and my son will get nothing here? He will be ruling an empty kingdom? What do you think you're doing? If you go to the forest, you should be dressed like in a bark to go to the forest. That's what he should dress in. And she said, here, I've got it ready. She gave the bark clothing also to this thing. And then Sita was wondering how to wear it. And Rama told how to wear it. And she told how to wear it also. Lakshmana, Rama and everything wore it. And then very tearfully, Dasharatha couldn't part with it. It's a big dramatic scene. He left for the forest. Now, amazing to know how this works. This is very similar. You see the association we have. When a leader has an association, Kaikeyi is a type of a leader. She's a queen. She leads people. And she's leading Rama by her affection and love and everything. She changed because of having association with Manthara. Manthara was wicked in one sense. When a leader chooses the people who advise him, puts people around him, he should choose very carefully. Dasharatha chose very carefully. He chose all his ministers and they were powerful ministers. And the advice they gave them was always bringing success to Dasharatha. But Queen Kaikeyi, she had the wrong advice from Manthara. And Manthara's influence, changed the whole paradigm of Kaikeyi's thinking. Sometimes the persons who are with us were supposedly giving us advice and leading us in leadership and management could make all the difference. All the difference. It's amazing what can happen to you. So mantra, I'm just taking this back to what we was talking about leadership. Leadership in India, once upon a time, like I said, 32 GDP and spiritually, culturally, very rich, technologically rich, economically wonderful, very prosperous people, high thinking, very deep values. Everything was there in plenty. And it came the bottom, rocket bottom, to a very low level. And the influence was because of the British. The British broke down the culture of India. They invaded the cultural thought and the cultural deep tenor, and they broke it because that was their plan. In the minutes, you will see that written by Macaulay, who came on a reconnoiter. He said, this country doesn't need us actually. They're very prosperous, very happy. There's not one single beggar out here. They have a completely different thing from what we are planning in our colonization everywhere. But it will be a great feather on our cap if we can do it to this place. It may take 100 years, maybe 200 years, but we should plan and systematically break down their culture. That's how they established educational institutions. They made the Indians feel very inferior. You don't have this, you don't have that. Industry, management, law, railways, this thing, that, and all that. And then gradually the Indians succumbed to it, also because the high-class Indians slowly became employed under the British. They called themselves the Bhadralok. In Calcutta, you'll see the history. It's a beautiful history of India, breaking down its culture from those rich. The Muslims, the Mughals came, their destruction of the culture was not so much. They were just enjoyers. They just wanted to have a good time. They were drinking, dancing, architecture, like that. But what the British did was far, far more harmful to the culture of India. They systematically broke down the culture. If you read some of the things that they did, it's amazing. And then gradually set up a value for these type of things in Indians who are actually very prosperous, and they looted India. Huge amounts of monies they took from here. And they set up this whole system and did all sorts of things, and gradually Indians changed. I liken the Britishers to mantra, and the whole of India like Kaikeyi, gradually, culturally punctured, fractured, destroyed. And now we are talking about leadership, and we talk in terms of Western leadership principles. And we don't know that we have great value from the past with us. At least let us adopt a good marriage between ethos, Indian ethos-based leadership principles and principles that we know from Western world, which I think is very good. The fall of Kaikeyi, leadership fall of Kaikeyi, because she had everything. She had a wonderful position as a queen. She had all the trust and the liking and the love of Dasharatha, the king. And she had the support of everybody. She loved Rama. Rama respected her as good as his own mother. And she had a fantastic position. She lost everything. When she came to know, Bharat came back and said, you are a demon, not my mother. I'm never going to accept the throne. Forget it. And there's a beautiful scene of Bharat going back to the forest, which we'll examine tomorrow on the character of Bharat and his servant leadership and participative leadership, everything. What Bharat did was amazingly surprising to her. And she got nothing, neither the kingdom. She lost Bharat. She lost everybody's goodwill. Whole of Ayodhya was looking at her in a different way. And they were all cursing her. Totally, everything she lost. Everything she lost. Her entire position was lost. India's entire position was lost, not fully. But a lot of it lost because they heard the advice of a different leadership coming, different type of management coming. And of course, it was not possible to do anything else. We were colonized, we were under British Raj, and we were under the East India Company. We were, lots of things were suppressed, and we were, Indians were a beautiful, cultured, tender, sophisticated group of people. And these were barbarians, actually. They slashed the culture, the sophistication of culture and learning and education, nothing they knew. The Muslims came and the Mughals came and destroyed all the education institutions. You'll see Khilji, he came and destroyed all the Nalanda University, this, everything. Burnt all the scriptures and books that they had, everything. They destroyed it. Not so much, but still a lot of it was existing. But the Britishers came and did the other portion of it, the real deep internal thing, destroyed. So I liken Kaikeyi to India. And Kaikeyi was after that still around. And Rama spoke to her in the forest and said, don't worry. You are supposed to be an instrument in certain things happening. So you have served me by being that instrument. As Supreme Personality of God already spoke. After that, you'll see Kaikeyi really faded out in history. In the Ramayana, you don't see her figuring out anywhere. She's present here and there, but a very sad look. But like that, India is still present, still hanging around. But it can be revived by taking some of the good principles from mantra, some good things, if at all there is, and reinstituting those Ram Rajya. Because what mantra wanted is banish Ram. Have Ram Rajya without Ram is what mantra wanted. And that's exactly what the Britishers did to us. Remove all your God, your scriptures and all that. And even Prophet said, you guys are actually not the Aryan race. Aryan race is different, right? You are just some low-class people. The Aryan race are the Europeans. The Germans claim to be Aryans also. And they had their own theory that they are the Aryan race. The other guys are useless to destroy everybody else. So this type of a whole understanding, a broken leadership, and then India's tradition was broken. Its cultural basis and foundation was broken. In fact, India is a broken leadership, trying hard to imitate the Western world. And there are very good things there, no doubt. And we should take those, but we should not lose the soul. When Prabhupada went to UK in his later time, he had sent his disciples already there. George Harrison of the Beatles was supporting his Hare Krishna movement, and he had made a LP to become world famous. And so when Prabhupada came first to London, his devotees, his disciples already done wonderful things. We landed there, and there was a big media waiting to cover him. And there they asked him, Swamiji, because they knew that he is George Harrison's guru, they thought. George Harrison was hitting the top, Beatles. So he was asked, what is it that you want from UK that you've come here? So cheekily Prabhupada replied with a smile on his face, a smirk on his face, that when you were in India, you took so many things from here. And they all know the history. You took so many things from here. But you forgot to take one thing. I have brought that for you. He didn't say that I want anything from you. I come to give you Krishna consciousness, the original culture, which you never understood, and due to which reason you never colonized India, never could. So that was a cheeky reply he gave, and that was published, and people were all very thrilled with that reply. So this is what we have as a value. Bhakti Vinoda Swami Prabhupada traveled the whole world to spread that original culture. And it's never too late for us to incorporate that, the blind man and the lame man. And from this incident of mantra and Kaikeyi, understand these leadership principles. Understand that we should never put ourselves in a situation where we denounce our own glory, our own valuable tradition. We should live with the tradition and incorporate other things, and we can become a powerful force to reckon with in this world. India can still do that. Prabhupada believed in that. Therefore, he started the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. So we are endeavoring to bring these type of leadership roles together and contribute to the growth of the people, to the growth of society, rich human beings, rich human society, high thinking, and living very smartly using the cultural foundation that we have. Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. I've exceeded by 3 minutes, I think, but I hope you wouldn't mind that. For some reason, I can't see all of you, and my screen is still like what it's supposed to be. Oh, yes, I got it. Okay. Thank you for your attention and for your time. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to.
Maharaj, suddenly we cannot hear you.
Oh, is it? What did you do? He's saying suddenly you can't hear me.
I did not do anything.
Nothing? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
We can hear you, Maharaj.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, Maharaj. Audible.
Kumar.
Yes, Maharaj.
Okay.
Yes, Maharaj, we can
Whoever
hear.
wants to ask a question, please.
We can hear you.
Hand there that is with you, and then we can try to recognize you.
Maharaj, this is Jayashree.
Yes.
Maharaj, while in one of your
Yeah. Tell me. Go ahead. Can you hear me?
We can't hear you, Maharaj.
Can you hear me? Jayashree?
yes, Maharaj, loud and clear.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Tell me.
In one of your sessions, it will be great if you can also speak about Urmila, Lakshman's wife, because in this whole story, I think she was the one who was left without any options at all. Lakshmana decided to go along with Rama to the forest, but she being his wife, I think the options she had was almost close to none, and she had to stay back and she had to live alone in the forests without Lakshmana. So it'll be very nice if you can give your point of view on that as well.
Well, normally I don't give my point of view. I'm giving the point of view of great acharyas and what I read in Prabhupada's books. But then I do give my little extrapolation in terms of leadership and management that I know of in today's world, according to time, place, and circumstances. It's interesting that you said that, because Lakshmana took leave of his mother, Sumitra. And proudly Sumitra told him, "You are a great son of mine, and you are a wonderful brother of Rama. Our race should simply get great pleasure in serving Rama. Go ahead, my dear son, go to the forest, serve Rama, look after him." This is what his mother told him. She was very happy that Lakshmana is going with Rama and going to be of service to him and protect him. She told him, protect Sita, protect Rama in the forest, and do everything necessary. And Lakshmana it's never slept in the night through the entire 14 years. When they were sleeping, Rama and Sita, he stayed awake. And in the daytime, he was traveling with Rama and he was doing everything necessary. He never slept for 14 years. Of course, this is unbelievable to us now. But these things happened. And these are great personalities who did that. That was their level. They were very, very powerful human personalities. So I can expect and extrapolate that to understand that Urmila also, as the wife of Lakshmana, I don't know exactly, but I have to look up. I vaguely remember something that was convinced by Lakshmana that this is a great service opportunity. And I am doing that service. And your service would be for me to remain in this palace and serve me. So Urmila took it as a great service for her husband that should remain in the palace and carry out her husband's order. Now, in these time and in this day and age, this will be totally anathema. I think it will be considered to be an exploitation. It will be considered to be a wrong thing for a husband to say to a woman, and etc., etc. So that value may not be there so much. But wives, in Vedic tradition, they were very happy to serve their husbands. And Kshatriyas had several wives. Arjuna had quite a few wives. Only Ramachandra was like Ekapatni Vrata, and he had one wife. But normally Kshatriyas had several wives. I'm not saying Lakshmana had several wives, but I don't know about that. But they all served the husband. That's the. So I understand that Urmila took it up in the form of service to the husband, because after 14 years when they returned, she reunited with Lakshmana very wonderfully, and having successfully carried out the bidding of her husband. And that's a great feather on the cap of Urmila. Successfully did that. And you will see similarly in the life of Bharata also. They all did these amazing services. Tomorrow we will see that. So it is not uncommon for these personalities to do these things, because they had that mettle, they had that capacity to do these type of austerities as a service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead Rama. We'll see all sorts of people come forward to do all sorts of services. Amazing things are done for Rama. Bharata, what he did is very amazing. We'll discuss that tomorrow. What Hanuman did, amazing. And what Urmila did, and many others in the family did. So as of now, with the limited reference that I have, this is the immediate answer that I could give you. But I would definitely look that up and give you, like you said, my point of view also. Thank you for the question. Anybody else?
Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you.
Maharaj, there is a question from an anonymous participant. Will
Nobody-
Mandara get offense for all of her acts, or is it Lord's plan?
Can the anonymous person reveal his identity?
Anjana.
Anjana. Okay. Must be Dr. Anjana. Will Mantara get what?
Offense for all the act that she has performed, or is it Lord's plan? And is Mandara did all these acts out of her free will, or Lord invoked her to do the same?
Well, looks like you already know the answer. Inside the question, you're given quite a bit of the answer. Whoever is asking that. Well, that's a loaded question, and that requires that I explain a lot of concepts here. And many of them who are here are not so deeply read in Prabhupada's books, and to understand what is an offense, aparadha, at this point of time. So I'm going to skim it a little bit. But true, yes. Mantara is known to be an instrument. As much as I told you, the Lord told Kaikeyi also that it's your role that you're playing. That you need to, because my pastimes have to unfold in this particular way. So quite possible, although I don't know exactly, I vaguely remember something. Exactly, we can look it up. But the act of Mantara convincing Kaikeyi against Dasharath, against Rama, is not only just an offense. It's something more than that. In terms of theology, we can say it's offense. We can say that it's against Vaishnava principles. Kaikeyi, in that terms we can say. But in terms of more, religious conduct, and in terms of dharma, yeah, it is wrong. And Mantara did this because she had a relationship with Kaikeyi, which was very deep. She used that relationship and did something that was not in proper dharma principle. But she did that also. Then somebody can ask questions. So what did Rama do to Mantara in his younger days? He shot a clay ball at her. Is that not also very offensive? So this will go into another discussion about what is really offensive and what is not. So we take this, like you rightly said in your question, as a pastime. A pastime of the Lord that is transcendental to good and bad. And when you become an instrument of the Lord in unfolding his pastime, then also it's not good or not bad. So it is seen beyond that. Actually, you've given the answer there also. So nobody is getting angry with Mantara in the sense that because she did not relate with anybody else so intensely, she had a relationship mostly with Kaikeyi. And this is happening only with Kaikai. And Kaikai succumbed to her, advice or counsel. So I think it should be understood as an unfoldment of the Lord's pastimes, using mantra as an instrument, using Kaikai as an instrument. Any other more simpler question on a different level that others want to ask?
Swamiji,
Yeah.
Priya here.
Yes, Priyaji.
Swamiji, you were talking this starting of the session. You said leaders are mostly alone in the top.
But did I say that?
Kind of. You said you find people.
Even if I didn't say that.
You didn't say that? Sorry. Okay, I got the meaning is that I find that, okay, in the present world scenario, if
Yes.
we don't have, if most of them are alone in the top, what would be the best practice for them to be as right leaders with those 6 characteristics that you've been talking about? How do we?
Yeah, it's a good question. Well, why are the leaders alone? You see, King Dasharath was alone maybe in his decision with Kaikai. But certain things you have to make decision on your own. It's not that for everything you'll have company. There are some personal decisions in life which we're going to talk about is your own personal leadership, which means you are alone in making those decisions. What is good for you? What should I do? Right? You should take inspiration from the scriptures. You should take inspiration from these wonderful characters in the Ramayana. You should take inspiration from other people who are living with us. But finally, we act on our own. We act on our own. That decision we have to take. Say in an organizational leadership, you have become alone. Mostly in the type of leadership systems that we have, the leader does become alone on the top. It is a given. I said that if a person is internally strong, he is spiritually powerful and has led himself properly, then he can weather that type of a situation. He can weather that situation. You'll see in Bharat's life, he was very alone. Tomorrow we'll discuss that. He became really lonely because Rama was not with him. And worse things happened. So everybody faces their situations by a providential arrangement, because those things give us terrific amount of learning, a deep learning when we go through that. If a leader in the situation that you're talking about, in all these corporations, in all these situations that we are in, is alone, and he will know at that time the value of being spiritually oriented. That's why a lot of the leaders value spiritual orientation nowadays, because they know they can get a tremendous amount of strength from their deep internal spiritual aspect, spiritual dimension, their spirituality. That's when they can handle. You see, you can be alone, but you don't have to be lonely. These are two different things. You become alone because your friends don't support you. Mates don't support you. Maybe it happens often, they become envious of you. They want to topple you off and occupy your position. Or they are envious. They don't want to see you doing certain things successfully. This is very common. This is very common. And it's a tough fight. It's a tough competition. And in these type of competitions, normally, men do it better, face these competitions, maybe. They're very tough inside. And these rugged individuals, they sell a lot of themselves in order to success point. And all they get is their material success. But mostly internally, they get completely emptied. For instance, take this Cafe Coffee Day, Siddharth. He did an amazing, huge network of, places serving coffee, and he is some sort of having coffee estate and that and this and everything. Known to be a nice man, very good gentleman from all the people who know him. He couldn't take it on the top. He was really alone. He had to just jump off. He had to jump off and commit a suicide, give up his life. So is this really worth it? Is another question. Talking about weathering your position on the top, the lonely position. The question is it really worth it? What do I gain from it finally? What do I get from it? If you're spiritually advanced also, at some point of time, you will think, I don't need this. I don't need this. A lot of people, before they reach such a state, they know it's coming. I'm quitting. And they get to look after themselves and lead spiritually, or they retire much earlier, and very smartly they do so. But others who do this and become lonely on the top, they're asking for it, they want it, and they remain lonely on the top. It's pretty lousy. But if you want that position, you want that success, then some people are willing to go through it. You have to harden yourself a lot. You have to do many things to yourself. In fact, you'll have to change yourself if you're not spiritually oriented. That is, you'll have to quite a lot change yourself to remain in that position. That's why sometimes people become very different on the top. They become callous. Sometimes they lose their humanity. Many things happen to them on the top. Very rarely people can weather that and continue to remain good human beings. That will happen only if a person is spiritually strong. These are wonderful things to discuss. That is why the world was ruled in the past in Vedic tradition by kings who were called Raja Rishi. Rishi means they were spiritually very advanced. Raja means king. They had both these things among them. It's not an easy thing to lead a kingdom, a whole empire successfully. But they were all spiritually powerful personalities. This is one thing we should learn. And in India, it's possible with the culture and the background we have, we can incorporate this in leadership. We can train our leaders to be spiritually oriented. This is the contribution of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. This is what we want to do. We want to create leaders who will actually be spiritually filled, and they'll occupy these positions, guide humanity properly, and guide whatever leadership positions they are in, guide people under them properly on the basis of their spiritual strength. So thank you very much for that question. And that's my 2 pennies on what I know from my readings.
Thank you, Swamiji. Thank you, Swamiji. That was very clear. Thank you, Swamiji.
Right. Any other question?
Facebook, Maharaj.
From Facebook. Okay.
Rohit is asking.
What question?
Hare Krishna, Maharaj. Thank you very much for your extremely enlightening second discourse on leadership lessons from Ramayana. I had one question. You mentioned that a leader must have the 6 qualities that you showed on the first slide. However, it's often seen that whenever a sane person with little or many or all of those qualities offers himself to lead, he is most often sidetracked by heavy mafias and other sort of people by means of their money, power, etc. Or in many refuse to accept him as a leader, and you finally see only such worthy people at leadership roles. So in this age of fake it till you make it, when and how can a genuine person with cultivated goodness and real spiritual values actually become leaders and bring about a positive change?
Did you hear him, all of you? You heard? You heard?
We heard, Maharaj.
Oh, okay, great. So thank you for that question, Rohit ji. It's a little long-winded question. So I'll take the essence of it. Yeah, if a person with saintly qualities occupies such a position, he'll get routed. True. First of all, a person with saintly qualities may not want to take the position. Why would he take such a position where it's a competition and it's tough and it is too many heavy players? So sometimes people have to do it, you will say, but mostly people who operate in these levels as leaders, if they have a saintly quality, then as they have climbed to that position, they have also brought with them a team of people who are also similarly saintly. Otherwise, they wouldn't have climbed all of a sudden one day, dash into the top level management as a saintly person. It doesn't happen, and it would not sustain itself. But if they have climbed up like that, then they would have made a team of people also who support him and pushed him up ahead. So it's quite possible that if we make such a team, then he may be possible within his corporation, within his system and setup, it's possible that he'll be able to do. And there are some models in modern leadership systems that there are some companies who stand by certain these rules. Say some company has green rules, keep everything green, we go by that. And some moral ethical foundations they have. This is to a small extent. And I'm presuming that over a period of time, such people will also recognize a larger holistic view of a leadership based on spiritual life. When I say spiritual life, don't think of religious life. Don't think of, Muslim religion, Christian religion, Hindu religion. How are you going to do it? Religion is different. Actually, religion is meant for spirituality, achieving spirituality. So let me redefine that. Spiritual life means the spiritual identity of everybody is in focus, because that's what we are. And a person who is based on that paradigm of leadership is a person who is in touch with reality, because the reality is that we are all spiritual beings. The illusion is that we are all material personalities with certain sources. A true leader will utilize everybody, like we will see participative management that Ramachandra did. He did an amazing amount of democratic, participative, inspirational, everything, things put together. You find all leadership principles available in Ramachandra. So when we speak about the 6 things that I showed you, starting from care to sanctity, they were just the requirements commonly amongst people in the land of America, especially in New York, in the whole study done. They found people said, if a person has got these things, I would vote for him. If he's got this, because I value care. And if he has got care principle in him, I'll vote for him. Somebody else would say, I value authority. If this person is valuing authority, then I vote for him. That's how it was made up. So these are desirable qualities in a leader in this day and age in America. So in some other places, it may be different also. I just want to make that point to you after whatever I said. I hope that covers some of your requirements. Anybody else?
Maharaj, actually there are 3 more questions, but you have another program at 8:30.
I can take some of them. Who's waving out?
Maharaj, Vaishnavi and Anbu and Malini Ramakrishnan.
Okay.
They have sent a chat, so should I read it out?
Yeah, please. Let's take one.
Okay. I have a question from Vaishnavi. I have a question. As you said, current education system plays a key role now. However, as a parental current situation here in Bangalore, there is no such education system rather from our community or even outside. Even though the devotees are interested, we are forced to send to outside school. Even from a community point of view, to start a school, it's become a huge challenge in terms of finance and cooperation from government. How to handle this, Maharaj?
Well, that is a big problem. It's true that the whole education system itself has to be looked into very seriously. The next thing is creating the value for a new education system amongst people. It's a big challenge. It'll take some time. Immediately now, I don't think an offer can be made from ISKCON, but there's a lot of work being done by many people all over the world. I think over a period of time, we'll be able to offer that solution to a community that's being built up. So we hope the best will happen for that. And I know that's a deep concern for most parents, their children and their education. We should make good with whatever education system is available to the best. Parents should take care that they don't simply focus only on the material future of their kid. They should also focus on the all-round development and growth of the kid in terms of everything else. In that way, they can find some solutions for the time being. And we hope that in the future, ISKCON will be able to offer a tried out good solution to that. There are some schools here and there. ISKCON has started and we are trying to do things, but I wouldn't say that they are offering everything that's needed, but quite a bit of it is offered. May not be in Bangalore. I think in Bangalore also we have one school privately done by a devotee who has some of these things in place. Anyway, that's the best we can offer right now. Thank you very much, and Hare Krishna for your patience and for your sitting through. We hope that Lord Ramachandra's blessings will be there on all of you, and you will be able to perform your leadership roles wonderfully. Ram Navami is coming very soon, and we are pitching ahead and creating the necessary consciousness and atmosphere for the appearance of Lord Ramachandra by these recollections. Thank you very much.
உள்ள போகக்கூடாது, வெளியே போகக்கூடாது பண்ணிட்டாங்க. அந்த ஊர்ல வந்து இப்ப 150 பேர் அந்த கறிக்கடை வெட்ட வந்தாரு.